Smelly Cat, we were on a break, and oh my god. If you don't know the show I'm talking about, you literally were not alive in the 90s. That's right, people. We are reading the pilot script to the biggest sitcom of all time, so don't move a muscle.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies.
Just wait for it. Just... There it is!
Yeah.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Unproduced Table Read here on the Popcorn Talk Network. Normally we read unproduced pilots. Wait, we just have to clap. Normally we read unproduced pilots and features on this show. I know most of you guys are returning listeners, but we're actually cheating today. This is a special show. We're reading a pilot to a show that was made in 1995. Four. 1994, and the show is called Friends. I think this is probably one of the most watched television shows in the history of television.
It has to be.
Yeah.
Changed the genre, I would say.
Definitely changed the game, and I'm excited to talk all about kind of the space that Friends occupies in the world of television because it's a huge one. So I'm really excited. I mean, I know all of our cast has seen the show. I'm sure most of our listeners have seen the show, and so I'm excited to get into it. Before we do that, guys, my name is Jeff Graham. If you want to find me online, you can do so at Jeffrey C. Graham. And I'd love, before we introduce ourselves and our characters, go ahead and introduce yourself, where we can find you on Twitter, and then talk about what Friends is to you. Because everyone has... I feel like everyone has... Friends means something to everyone. Roxy, you start. I know this is like your lifeblood.
Yeah, so I'm Roxy. I'll be playing Monica and Carol, and if you've seen the pilot, you're probably confused by that, but you'll understand when we read it. This is my favorite show of all time. I can't talk about what it means to me because we would be sitting here for the entire time, but this is my favorite show ever. I've seen every episode at least 50 times. I watch it on repeat every single day. I watch Friends. I love the show.
Okay, Jesus. I'm Andrew Guy. I'm a little terrified. No, you can find me at Andrew Guy on Instagram and Twitter, and I'll be reading Joey today. Friends is one of the greatest. It might be the greatest sitcom ever. I mean, these guys are getting paid $1 million an episode. That speaks like volumes in this business. It's hilarious. It's amazing, and it's honestly, I think, one of the best written sitcoms ever. And I'm excited to be Joey. So.
Hi guys, I'm Adrian Snow. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Miss Adrian Snow. I'm reading for Rachel, and I was actually late to Friends, just cause life. And so I started. My mom and I started watching reruns, and then we caught up. I think season 4. And so I enjoyed it a lot. I can still go back and watch it. I still haven't seen all of season 8 or 9, whichever one where Joey and Rachel got together.
You can borrow them from Roxy.
The worst.
Nah.
Even towards 10, so you're missing out.
That's good.
Well, I came back for 10, so it must have been 9. Is that the one? Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's what it was.
Hey guys, Mike Kalinowski. Find me at Mike Kalinowski on Twitter. I'm not going to give away my age. I'm going to play the Hollywood card, but we've kind of talked to everyone here. I think I'm the person who's closest in the age to the cast, or what the characters were supposed to be when it first came out. So I kind of have a different experience. I kind of saw it.
Mike's
kind of
100.
it was my life
In real time.
and I'm playing Ross, who, when we first given the part, I was kind of like, Ross, me? But now thinking about it, and Roxy's like, yeah, you are Ross. And I was like, and I remember there was a girl I was dating, and we'd always compare. We were the Ross and Rachel of all of our friends, where we were meant to be together, and it was just like, so I guess I am. So it's interesting. It was part of my life, but in a different way. It was very much I related to these characters.
Were you on a break?
We went through breaks. We came back. I did cheat on her, but we were on a break.
Yes!
We were the Ross and Rachel.
Nice.
You know.
We're on a break.
And when we finally, years later, at the very end of the season, we had lost contact, but we made contact with each other. And the show, when it happened, how they got back together, we were just kind of joking with our lives, and we didn't get back together. No, it's not happy anything like that, but
Yeah. Timmy.
How you doing, everybody? I am Timothy Michael. You can reach me on all social media platforms at I am Timothy Mike. I thought you were gonna do it, Andrew, the how you doing thing, and I was like, I'm stealing it. I am playing Chandler, not playing Joey. I was late to the Friends game also. I didn't start watching it until like high school, which was like 13 years after it came out. But I just remember and I grew up in New York, so I just remember watching it going, this is what adulthood in like New York is going to look like. So I just remember going, okay, I'm gonna have this great apartment. I'm gonna have all these group of friends. We're all gonna spend like all this time together, and we're gonna live in the city and have this fabulous life.
How'd that work?
It didn't work out very well. Clearly, I'm living in Los Angeles now. But I loved Friends. I loved the quirkiness of the characters. I loved just the characters in general and just what it meant to television at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I'm Haley O'Connor on Twitter at Haley O'Connor. Today I am reading for Phoebe and also Franny, who's a character maybe just in the pilot. But
For those who can't see,
I was just going to say, we got to call attention to this.
because I'm reading Phoebe, I'm wearing a dress with portraits of cats all over it because I felt it appropriate. Friends to me is kind of, it's familiar. It sort of feels like it was just kind of always there throughout my life. So it's like people I know really well, which I actually think makes reading the script kind of a challenge because we're so ingrained with we know these distinct characters. But I like it. I find it more fascinating now when I get to see some of it. Like, I find it sort of anthropologically interesting more than funny, but like it's really interesting to watch now because we're certainly
It's a very different time.
Sitcoms have come a long way. Comedies come like in a different
Right.
zone. So anyway,
That's it. I mean, it is kind of an artifact as much as it is a show. I mean, like, it's the kind of show that will show up in history books, I'm sure,
for sure.
along with like
Gotcha.
Cheers and MASH.
I think
and,
it already does.
Yeah.
Show up in
it's already history.
Yeah.
It
Friends,
was mentioned
the
in like
most
my
diverse show of all time.
Right.
That's how it's listed.
what?
Kind of sad.
Friends for me, I'm so this kind of person, which is something I kind of hate about myself, but I'm the kind of person who like doesn't necessarily want to get on board with huge pop
Right.
cultural
Yeah.
phenomenons.
Yeah.
And my friend Sheldon, who works at the network as well, this is also his all-time favorite show. Like, he's kind of obsessive level like you are, Roxy. And he was like, you just have to watch this show with me. At the time, we were like weirdly working on a cruise ship, so we had a lot of time to watch stuff. And
Jeff was in a boy band on a cruise
I was in a boy
ship.
band
That's
on a
true
cruise
story.
ship.
Watching Friends
Are
at
you
night.
serious or is that a
no,
joke?
that's
actually
a true story.
It's a thing that
There's-
What is the
there's
name of the boy
there's
band?
video, you gotta see it.
What is the name?
we were called For Sale, but spelled with a 4.
Of course.
Spelled like
It's
sailboat.
unbelievable.
Oh my
Of
god!
course.
Oh, this
Jeff's
is the
got
greatest
moves.
thing.
You have no idea.
It's my secret life.
Four Sailors, were that the name of your fans? The Four Sailors?
They were mostly all like
Did you have
78-year-old
fans?
women.
Oh,
so.
fantastic.
awesome.
Anyway,
This is
I
so
like.
amazing.
I feel like for a long time I held out and I was like, I'm just like watching this show. Like, I don't actually like it, but I'm gonna like keep binging it and like, I'll just watch like 5 more in a row. And eventually I was like, yeah, this show's amazing and I love it. I know very few people who like flat out can
Don't like
resist this show.
There's very few people that say, yeah, no, I don't like it.
It's hard to resist, is I think what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up with
Everywhere.
3 sisters, and it was just like every day, all day, and I loved it. And I thought it was the coolest thing to be like, oh yeah, I watch Friends with my sisters.
Yeah.
Of course I do.
It does a really good job of like being a show that everyone can comfortably watch.
Yeah.
Like, it speaks to people in some way, you know, no matter what demographic they come from. You can find something about Friends that you
Can connect to.
can connect to. Yeah.
For sure. Well, I think what I want to do now, we always introduce our characters, but one of the things I want to do in this episode is talk about the differences. We're reading the original scripted shooting draft of the pilot. On multicam shows, a lot of things change on set, so the pilot that was shot is actually probably 20% different than the pilot that we're reading today.
It's 59 pages, this original.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and what's interesting too is multicams are always
Double spaced.
double spaced,
Yeah.
so that's part of the reason the page count is so high. But one of the things that's interesting to me is these character descriptions. It's not uncommon in comedies that you'll list your main characters and describe them. So what I want you guys to do is introduce the characters that I cast you as, and just read word for word the description that Marta Kaufman and David Crane initially envisioned for these characters. Because I believe this was written before the cast was even chosen,
Right.
which is really interesting. So we're going to go around the table, introduce your character, and then how the creators of the show envisioned them.
Okay, Roxy, Monica, smart, cynical, defended, very attractive. Obviously. Had to work for everything she has, an assistant chef for a chic uptown restaurant, and a romantic disaster area.
Andrew, I'm reading Joey. It says, handsome, macho, smug, lives across the hall from Monica and Rachel, wants to be an actor, actually wants to be Al Pacino, loves women, sports, women, New York, women, and most of all, Joey.
Adrian, reading for Rachel. Spoiled, adorable, courageous, terrified. Monica's best friend from high school, has worked for none of what she has, on her own for the first time, and equipped to do nothing.
Mike, reading Ross, intelligent, emotional, romantic, Monica's brother, suddenly divorced, facing singlehood with phenomenal reluctance, a paleontologist, not that it matters.
Timothy reading Chandler, droll, dry, a wry observer of everyone's life and his own, works in front of a computer doing something tedious in a claustrophobic cubicle in a nondescript office building, survives by way of his sense of humor and snacks.
I'm Haley reading Phoebe. Sweet, flaky, new age waif. Monica's former roommate, sells barrettes on the street and plays guitar in the subway, a good soul.
I feel like, to me, the version of Joey is the most different.
Yeah.
Is that what you guys kind of gather?
He's friendly, right? Like, Joey's kind of sweet.
Yeah, he's not really smart.
He's not.
Yeah.
He's not.
Joey changed, which a lot of people kind of forget. Joey, the character of Joey, changed over the course of the show. So when
Yeah.
you first are introduced to Joey in like season 1,
more
he
smug.
is more like
Yeah.
kind of macho,
Bro.
actually a little bit more intellectual, kind of savvy in a way. And then as the show keeps going, they kind of made him dumber and dumber and dumber.
Yeah.
Like that's at least something I kind of noticed. I don't know. I
totally-
turned
Yeah,
to
no,
Roxy.
From what I remember of the show, it just seems like this pilot, like a lot of shows, like especially like Seinfeld or something, that it took a couple years to get these characters.
For sure.
Oh, it always does.
I have to
Yeah.
go back and watch the pilot, but this seems very much they kind of knew what they were doing with it. And like,
I
except for
definitely-
Joey would be the change.
I think what I want to do is have this discussion after we read
Yeah.
it,
Okay.
just so we can have
Alright.
like the freshest
What are you
interpretation
about to say?
of these. Yeah,
I'm
hop
so
in.
Just
curious.
that in a few seasons from this point that he is cast as Al Pacino's butt stunt
Yeah.
double, and that's awesome that was
Yeah.
in their original
Yeah.
description of him
That's
that
true.
he wants
That's
to be
true.
him.
I love
that was
that.
the only thing
That's
that I was
really
gonna say.
fun. That's a really fun observation.
Wait,
Well,
no, Robert De
Van Damme.
Niro.
It's
Yeah.
Robert De Niro. Oh
De
yeah.
Niro's
who-
Oh, it's butt double?
Yeah,
And the
Robert
movie
De
is
Niro.
with Al Pacino?
Probably. You know, they were confusing in the 90s.
Yeah. Well, I'm
Yeah.
looking
It
at.
was probably Heat that they were talking
Probably.
about.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
what was happening.
Well, just so you guys know, I'm looking at the first page of this pilot's shooting draft, and the show is called Friends Like Us. We'll talk about it, but it went through a couple different names. So this is the pilot to a show called Friends Like Us, written by David Crane and Marta Kaufman. And just to orient you guys time-wise, this is the first draft written on March 3rd of 1994. So we're gonna dive in. This is the pilot script to Friends Like Us.
23 years.
That was
23
5.
years ago. Yeah.
Jesus.
All right, Act 1. Faden, interior coffee house, afternoon. A rainy afternoon. Monica, Joey, Chandler, and Phoebe are hanging out talking. We hear snatches of conversation broken up by a series of dissolves.
I'm telling you, I've had it with the whole dating thing.
Yeah.
I mean it this time. If I have to laugh at another stupid anecdote or eat another Caesar salad, I'm gonna kill myself.
I don't hate dating.
That's because you don't date. You just move in with guys.
That's true.
You know what my favorite kind of date is?
The kind where you don't leave your gum in her ear.
I can't believe you told her.
I couldn't help myself.
So wait a minute. If you're not dating anymore, what's tonight?
Tonight is not a date. It's not. It's just two people going out to dinner and not having sex.
Sounds like a date to me.
Dissolve 2, interior the same later. There are more half-empty plates on the table. Joey is arguing with Monica.
I can't believe what I'm hearing here.
What? I said you had a very nice butt. It's just not a great butt.
You know who had a great butt? Speed Racer. Well, he did.
You know what? I'm not even going to listen to you. You would know a great butt if it came up and bit you.
There's an image.
Dissolve 2, interior the same a little later. More dishes and cups litter the table. Chandler is in the middle of relating a dream.
All right. I'm back in high school, in the middle of junior-senior lobby, and I realize I'm totally naked.
Yeah,
I've
been
had
there,
it.
yeah.
Then I look down and I realize there's a phone there.
Instead of.
Yep.
Whoa.
No, that's
Yeah.
not
I know.
wrong.
Nope.
Look, all of a sudden the phone starts to ring. I don't know what to do. Everyone's looking at me.
They weren't looking at you before?
Finally, I figure I better answer it. Turns out it's my mother, which is really weird because she never calls me.
Oh, yeah. That's the weird part.
In the midst of all of this, Ross, Monica's older brother, enters. He is totally despondent. He moves to the others and sits.
Hi.
Jeez, this guy says hello. I want to kill myself.
You okay?
I feel like someone reached down to my throat, grabbed my small intestine, pulled it out through my mouth, and tied it around my neck.
Cookie?
Carol moved her stuff out today.
Phoebe goes to Ross and waves her hands wildly, very close to his head.
What are you doing?
I'm cleansing your aura.
Well, don't. Just leave my aura alone. I'll be fine. Really, look. I hope she'll be happy.
No, you don't.
No, I don't. Okay, I hope she'll be happy, but not until I'm happy, which may take forever, but the hell with her. She left me.
And you never knew she was a lesbian.
No! Why does everyone keep fixating on that? She didn't know. How should I know? It's not like there's a mark on her head.
Sometimes I wish I were a lesbian. Did I say that out loud?
I told Mom and Dad last night.
Yeah, I know. Then they called and they yelled at me for an hour and a half. They couldn't quite explain how I'm responsible for your ex-wife's sexual preference, but that didn't stop them.
All right, look, you're feeling a lot of pain right now. You're angry, you're hurt, blah, 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 blah. Look, you know what the answer is? You need another woman.
Oh, please. That's your answer to, do you want more coffee?
Hey, you gotta get back on the horse.
And speaking for all women, thank you for the livestock analogy.
I don't want another woman. I don't want to be single. I don't want to put together all IKEA furniture by myself. I just want to be married again.
At that moment, a woman in a bridal gown enters. Seeing this, Chandler takes a shot.
And I just want a lot of money.
He looks at the door, expectantly, nothing.
See? Now why doesn't it work for me?
The bride goes to the counter. She's soaking wet from the rain. As she orders coffee...
Isn't that Rachel Robbins?
Where?
Where?
Monica sees that, indeed, she does know the wet bride.
Be right back. Rachel?
Rachel turns and sees her. She greets Monica with an outpouring of relief.
Oh, God, Monica. Hi, thank God. I went to your apartment and you weren't there and I didn't know what to do, so I just came in here for, thanks, coffee.
That's $1.25.
Oh, right. I just have the penny my Aunt Harriet put in my shoe for good luck.
I'm just guessing it didn't work.
She pays. There's an awkward moment as she surveys the soaking wet bride.
So, what's new?
Oh, not much. I'm supposed to get married in about 15 minutes.
Ah, I didn't know. I guess that's because I wasn't, invited.
I know. I'm sorry.
Hey, it's your wedding.
Monica.
I mean, I know we haven't kept in touch lately, but...
Monica, I'm sorry. These shoes hurt and this cup is hot. Think you could get over this a little faster?
I'll work on it. Come on.
She takes her back to the table.
Everybody, this is Rachel, who I thought was my best friend in high school. Rachel, this is everybody. Joey and Chandler and Phoebe, and you remember my brother Ross?
Sure.
Hi.
Great dress.
Thanks. It's Versace.
What happened?
Oh, God, I don't know. I guess it was the gravy boat that started it.
Isn't it always?
I was in this room where we keep all the presents, and I was looking at this gravy boat, this really gorgeous Limoges gravy boat, and all of a sudden I realized that I was more turned on by this gravy boat than by Barry, and I got really freaked out, and I was talking about it with Mindy, my maid of honor, and that's when it hit me how much Barry looks like Mr. Potato Head. I mean, I always knew he looked familiar. But so, anyway, I just had to get out of there, and I don't know what to do or where to go, and you were the only one I knew who lived in the city
who wasn't invited to the wedding.
She smiles guiltily, then shivers and sneezes. Cut to interior Monica's apartment later. Close on a TV. A Spanish-language soap opera is in progress. We pull back to reveal the group, riveted, trying to guess the plot. All but Rachel, who is in the kitchen talking on the phone. She's now wearing a borrowed pair of jeans and a sweatshirt, towel drying her hair.
Okay. The lady in the red dress is really pissed at the guy who can't stand still because
he's breaking off their affair.
Because he's wearing her top.
Meanwhile, Rachel is speaking with her father.
Hi, Daddy. No, I'm okay, really. I just, I'm sorry, I can't marry him. I just don't love him. Well, it matters to me. Daddy, please don't yell. May I speak? May I speak? May I speak?
After a moment, she holds the phone away from her ear, and we can hear the muted squawking of her father. She looks out at the television.
The woman in the red dress is upset because he knows who tried to steal her baby. I took Spanish in college.
Well, that sucks all the fun out of it.
They change the channel and land on Susan Powder pushing her diet and exercise regimen.
Is it me, or is there something ironic about a bald anorexic woman jumping up and down screaming, "Stop the insanity!"
Meanwhile, Rachel is now arguing with her father. She's upset.
But Daddy, it's my life. Well, maybe that's my decision. Well, maybe I'll stay here. Well, maybe I don't need your money. Wait, I said maybe!
But there's nothing but a dial tone. They all stare at Rachel, and she looks pale. Dissolve to interior the same a little later. Monica, Phoebe, and Ross sit with Rachel, who is hyperventilating into a paper bag. Chandler and Joey look on with concern while they raid the fridge.
Just breathe. That's it. Just relax. Just try to think of nice, calm things.
Raindrops on roses and whiskers on kittens. Doorbells and sleigh bells and something with mittens. La 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 something and noodles with string. These are a few of my favorites.
Don't sing.
It's gonna be okay. Come on. We've all gotten along fine without your father's money. You can too.
You're right. I've never lived on my own and taken care of myself, and although it doesn't sound like something I particularly like, if ever I'm going to try it, now's the time, so.
So, what so? Oh, no. Look, I'm really not good with the roommates thing. No one should be around me in the morning. Tell her.
It's
Yeah,
true.
she's
Yeah,
just
your
nightmare.
nightmare's terrible.
Yeah.
I used to live with her. She's a total bitch.
There, you see?
Listen, if she says no, you always got a place with Joey. Me and Chandler live right across the hall.
Joey, stop hitting on her. It's her wedding day. All right, look, we can try it, but the minute we start sharing clothes or giving each other bikini waxes, you're out of here.
Sound effects, intercom buzzer.
Can I take your order?
It's Paul.
Buzz him. I totally forgot. I'm supposed to go out with this guy tonight. I'll tell him I can't do it.
Yeah, because let's not forget, it's not a real date.
No, go. I'll be fine, really.
Monica opens it to reveal Paul, a nice-looking guy in his late 20s.
Hey, come on in. Paul, this is everybody.
Paul enters, everybody says hi, and when it's back to them, they indicate to Monica, not bad, all right, etc.
I'll be right out.
She exits into the bedroom.
Here's a tip. She really likes it when you rub on the back of her neck in the same spot over and over and over again until it starts to get a little red.
Shut up, Joey.
Joey shrugs. Ross turns to Rachel, a little awkward.
So, do you have any plans tonight?
Well, I was kind of supposed to be heading for Aruba on my honeymoon, so no.
Oh, right. Sure. Well, if you don't feel like being alone, Joey and Chandler are come over to help me put together some new furniture.
And we're very excited about it.
Thanks. I think I'll just hang out here. It's been a long day.
Sure. Okay. Sure.
Phoebe, you want to help?
I wish I could. I can't. I've got to work tonight.
Cut to interior subway station later. Phoebe is sitting on the ground playing one of her terrible folk songs. Her guitar case is open for money. She sings.
Love is sweet as summer showers. Love is a wondrous work of art. But your love is like a giant pigeon crapping on my heart.
Cut to interior Ross's apartment, same time. It is a virtually empty apartment. Joey and Chandler are drinking beer and helping Ross put together his new IKEA furniture. Ross is working on something that someday will be a coffee table. Joey reads instructions for a bookcase to Chandler.
All right, you need to attach a brackety thing to the side things using a bunch of these little worm guys, and all that hooks onto H.
Well, I have no brackety things. I see no worm guys whatsoever. I'm telling you, this is a Swedish conspiracy.
What if I just throw all the stuff out and just use the box as a coffee table? I could put a cloth on top of it.
Cut to interior Japanese restaurant, same time. Monica and Paul are on their date. Conversation has just come to a standstill. You knew I was married, right?
No, I didn't. Not that surprises me with the things going so well and you being so nice and heterosexual and all. But look, I don't go out with married guys. They have wives.
Whoa, ho, no. Was married. And as in she left me. As in I would be happy to see her trapped in a mine disaster with a yeast infection.
Oh, well, at least you're not angry.
He smiles and shrugs. Cut to interior Monica and Rachel's apartment, same time. Rachel is talking on the phone. She paces, upset.
I just want to say I'm sorry, Barry. I am so sorry. I know you probably think this is all about what I said the other night about you making love with your socks on. But it isn't. It's about me.
She hangs up and redials and waits for the voicemail message.
I got beeped off again. Anyway, look, I know you probably hate me, and that's fair. But I want you to know that if you ever just want to talk to me or yell at me, I'm here. You know, I still think you're one of the most...
She cuts off again. She rolls her eyes, hangs up, and redials. Cut back to interior Ross's apartment later. The furniture building progresses slowly. Chandler and Joey have just finished building a wall unit. They survey their handiwork proudly.
Hey, I'm thinking we got a bookcase here.
It's a beautiful thing.
Then Joey notices something on the floor.
What's that?
I would have to say it's an L-shaped bracket.
Which goes where?
They both stare at the bookcase.
I have no idea.
A beat. Joey kicks the bracket under the sofa.
Done with the bookcase.
Ross is into his second beer. He stares at the furniture pieces around him.
I really miss her.
Yo, if you're gonna start with that stuff, we're gonna get out of here.
Yeah, don't spoil the fun.
You're right. I'm sorry. I was cleaning out the bathroom and I found an old box of her maxi pads. I just can't get myself to throw them out.
Sure.
So I've been using them for arch supports.
Come on, man.
What is wrong with you?
Tell us that.
Cut back to interior Japanese restaurant, same time. Ever since she left, I've been unable to perform sexually.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, it was probably not the most appropriate response.
It's so bizarre. I mean, like, I meet a woman and it's like my mind is going, yeah, and my body's going, wanna bet?
Yeah.
Yeah. She takes his hand and she holds it. Cut back to interior Ross's apartment, same time. The guys have stopped building furniture and are now just getting serious about their beer.
I'm divorced. Like, I'm 26 and I'm divorced.
Shut up.
Ross, you've got to understand, between us, we haven't had a relationship that's lasted longer than a Mento. You had the love of a woman for 4 years. 4 years of closeness and sharing. At the end of the heart, which she ripped her heart out, and that's why we don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that was my point.
Okay. What if there were only one woman for me? What if you only get one and that's it? And unfortunately, in my case, there was only one woman for her.
What are you talking about, one woman? That's like saying there's only one flavor of ice cream for you. Let me tell you something, there's lots of flavors out there. There's Rocky Road and cookie dough and Bing cherry vanilla. They got kinds with fudge swirls and nougat. You can get it with Jimmy's or nuts or no nuts or whipped cream. This is the best thing that ever happened to you. You got married, you were like, what, 8? Come back to the world. Grab a spoon.
I honestly don't know if I'm horny or hungry.
Then stay out of my freezer.
Cut to interior Monica and Rachel's apartment later. Close up on the TV set. It's an old Happy Days rerun, the one where Joni and Chachi get married. Pull back to reveal Rachel watching. There are tears in her eyes and a gallon tub of ice cream in her lap. As Chachi says, I do, Rachel wipes a tear away with her wedding veil.
See? But Joni loved Chachi. That's the difference.
Cut back to interior Monica's hallway later. Paul has brought Monica home. They stand outside her door.
This is great. I mean it. I was fully prepared for you to eat with the food on the outside of your mouth or make little bunnies out of your napkin. It's happened. But this was great.
It really was. Anyway, the air is thick with sexual tension. He leans in to kiss her, but right before their lips touch. So, can I call you again?
Uh-huh.
Tomorrow, okay?
Uh-huh.
I was thinking we could...
Paul, shut up.
She kisses him. It's a good kiss. They pressed against each other. All of a sudden, both of their eyes widen and Monica glances down. Paul tries to suppress again. We're not alone.
I noticed.
This is historic. I mean, oh my God. She laughs and kisses him again, and then...
You want to come in?
I don't know. I mean, I do. But I don't know. Maybe we should take this slow.
Believe me, I'm all for slow.
Okay. Tomorrow. We'll talk.
Tomorrow. Good night.
She turns. They kiss again. And again. And they fall into the apartment. Cut to exterior New York stock shot. The skyline of New York at night. We hear the last strains of Phoebe's song.
Your love, your love is like a furball in my throat.
And we fade out. Act 2. Faden, interior, Monica, and Rachel's apartment the next morning. Rachel is in a robe pouring coffee for Chandler and Joey, who have come over to mooch on some breakfast.
Isn't it amazing? I mean, I have never made coffee before in my life.
That is amazing.
Congratulations.
You know, I figure if I can make coffee, there isn't anything I can't do.
I think it's if I can invade Poland, there isn't anything I can't do.
Listen, you know, while you're on a roll, if you feel like you got to make like a Western omelet or something.
He tastes the coffee.
Actually, I'm really not that hungry this morning.
Well, just coffee for me. It's a breakfast unto itself.
You're welcome.
As she turns her back to put the coffee pot back on the stove, the guys mouth to each other that this is perhaps the worst coffee ever brewed by people. At that moment, the door to Monica's bedroom opens. She emerges dressed for work.
Good
morning.
Good morning.
With that, Paul emerges dressed as he was the night before. He smiles kind of sheepishly. Morning?
Hello.
Hello, Paul.
What's up, Paul?
As Monica leads him to the door, do these guys live here?
No, they're just the Lenny and Squiggy of my life.
They stand in the doorway and continue in whispers. Thank you. Thank you so much. He kisses her. Monica eyes the others, peering around to see.
We'll talk later.
Thank you. He goes. Monica closes the door and sighs.
And that wasn't a real date. What the hell do you do on a real date?
I'm afraid that's a mystery you will never unravel.
All right, kids, I've got to get to work. If I don't input these numbers, it doesn't make much of a difference.
So you guys all have jobs?
The other three exchange a look.
Yeah, we all have jobs. That's how we, buy stuff.
I'm an actor.
Wow. Would I have seen you in anything?
I doubt it. I mean, mostly regional work.
Unless you happen to catch the Wee Ones production of Pinocchio at the Little Theater in the Park.
It was a job, all right?
Look, Geppetto, I'm a real life boy.
Thank you. You can both die slowly.
He storms out and Chandler follows.
He was really very good.
He leaves. Monica goes over to Rachel.
How you doing today?
Oh, not as good as you, but I'm okay. Really. You go to work.
And with that, she takes her coffee, curls up on the couch, and turns on the TV. As Katie Couric chats with Bryant, Monica goes over to Rachel.
Rach, little thing. If you're gonna be staying here, you're gonna have to help me with the, rent.
Okay.
Which probably means getting one of those job things.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, not a problem.
Really?
Hey, I made coffee, okay?
As Monica ponders this, cut to interior Chandler's office later. Well, not really an office. It's more like a tiny cubicle. Chandler sits before his computer screen. Rachel's visiting, and he's sharing his work ethic with her.
I know sitting in front of this thing is killing my brain cells and my sperm, but I get to make freaking long-distance calls, so what the hell?
Chandler's supervisor, an older woman with a grim expression, passes by. She peers over the top of Chandler's cubicle.
Hello,
He smiles at her.
Hello, Miss Von Boone. You're looking lovely today. Is that a new pen? Smells like autumn, don't you think?
The woman says nothing. She gives him one final dark look and moves off.
Woman scares the hell out of me. Anyway, your resume.
Starting to type.
Okie dokie. Previous experience?
None?
None. Job skills?
None?
Okay, that's 2 nuns. One more, they can walk into a bar. Okay, education.
A bachelor's in art history.
Oh, with a minor in
Dance.
dance. Oh, you should do just fine.
Cut to interior Bloomingdale's later. Near the fragrance counter, Joey is now in a tuxedo. He holds an atomizer which he offers to passing customers.
Aramis.
Rachel comes up.
Hey, gorgeous. How's the hunting going?
Don't ask. But I got an interview here at 4 as an assistant buyer. I mean, doesn't that sound like the perfect job for me? If anything, I'm overqualified.
If anything, you're late.
Oh.
Go.
She runs off.
Aramis.
Dissolve to interior the same a little later. Joey's now coming to a very attractive woman customer.
Here. Smell me.
Rachel comes up, bounding, and she's buoyant.
Hey, Joey.
You got the job.
No, but I found this great pair of boots.
She opens her shopping bag. He looks in and reads the price on the box.
Wow. $400. You really got this whole impoverished out of work thing down.
Rachel beams. Cut to interior kitchen restaurant same time. Monica is at work as an assistant chef in an elegant uptown French restaurant. She is in a great mood, still in the flush of afterglow. Franny, another young woman chef, comes up beside her. As they saute.
Hey,
Hey,
how was your weekend?
not bad.
You had sex, didn't you?
I may have had sex, yes. Onions.
And the drought is over, so who?
You know Paul, the wine guy?
Oh, yeah, I know Paul. Is he unbelievable or what? I mean, I could never see going out with him seriously. I mean, he's such a hound, but between those whamsuttas, hello!
When did you go out with him?
Oh, I don't know, like 2 months ago?
As Monica and the onions burn. Cut to interior coffee house later that evening. The group is gathered.
Of course it was a line.
Why? Why would anybody do something like that?
I assume we're looking for an answer more sophisticated than to get you into bed.
Let's put it this way. Were you especially attentive that night? Especially selfless and giving, making that little extra effort because it was all about him?
I hate men.
She's right, a woman would never do something like this.
Oh, yeah. Well, you ever hear about a man faking it?
We do that for you.
And don't think we don't appreciate
Is it me? Is it like I have a beacon that only dogs and men with severe emotional problems can hear?
It's not you.
Actually, I think it might be you. ninth grade, Ron Sugarman, and that kid from camp who was afraid of your bike.
Oh, and remember when Doug McAllister tried to feel her up with even the oven mitt?
Okay.
Sounds like you really could pick him.
Yeah. No wonder I haven't slept with you yet.
Ow.
Well, that's it. Forget dating. I mean it this time, Kennedy's could call.
Especially Kennedy's.
Monica throws down her napkin in disgust.
I just thought he was nice, you know?
There's an uncomfortable pause, then,
I can't believe you didn't know it was a line.
as Monica leaps across the table to kill him, cut to interior Monica and Rachel's apartment later. They're all back in the apartment. The guys are again raiding the fridge.
Why don't I just bring my groceries straight to your place?
Okay.
Monica comes across Rachel's Bloomingdale's bag. She takes out the boots.
What's this?
Oh, they're my new I don't need a job, I don't need my parents, I've got a great boots.
How'd you pay for them?
Credit card?
And who pays for that?
My phone?
So when you say you don't need your parents, you mean except for the stuff you want to buy.
What would you like me to do? Not have my parents pay for anything?
Great, you can't live off them your whole life.
I know that. That's why I was getting married.
Oh, give her a break. It's hard being on your own for the first time.
Thank you.
I remember when I first came to the city, I was 14. My mom had just killed herself, and my stepdad was back in prison. And when I got here, I didn't know anybody. I ended up living with this albino guy who sold smack in Port Authority. Then he killed himself. And then I found aromatherapy. So believe me, I know exactly how you feel.
Rachel can only stare at her.
Look, maybe this whole roommate thing was not such a great idea. I mean, this is high school all over again. I worked every afternoon, every weekend for 2 years to buy this horrible Chevy that was held together by Band-Aids and no windows, and then her father buys her a BMW convertible. This is the real world. I don't need that here.
That was such a great car.
Ross.
Do you know how jealous I was of your car?
Oh, please.
I was, because it was yours. I look at you guys in your crappy apartments with no doorman and used furniture working just to make rent, and I think, that is so great.
So how come I want to hit you with a brick?
I just don't think I can do it. This is me. This is who I am.
Bull. That's not all you are. You think you'd be my friend? Give me some credit.
Rachel stares at her. Dissolve to interior, the same a little later. Rachel sits at the kitchen table with her credit cards spread out before her. The others look on supportively. Rachel picks up a scissors. She hesitates.
Is this really necessary? I mean, I can stop charging anytime I want.
The first step is admitting you have a problem.
I can't do it.
You can.
Come on.
Go, Rach.
They all start to cheer her on.
Oh, God.
With that, she cuts the first card in half. She lets out a little cry. The others cheer.
Yeah.
You know what? I think we should just leave it at that. You know, like a symbolic gesture.
That was a gas card. You don't even have a car in the city.
Okay, fine.
With that, she quickly and painfully cuts through the other cards.
If you listen very carefully, you can hear 1,000 retailers scream.
Rachel hesitates at the last one. Very nostalgic.
This was my first one. You can hardly see the numbers. They have to punch them in. The magnetic strap doesn't work anymore.
Rachel, cut the card.
Rachel summons her courage and she cuts. The others cheer. Monica gives her a hug.
Welcome to the real world. It really sucks. You're gonna love it.
Dissolve to interior the same later that night. Joey, Chandler, and Phoebe have left. Monica, Rachel, and Ross sit down watching television and eating Oreos. On the TV is the Dr. Bernie show. The vegetarian is showing a woman how to give eye drops to her. The veterinarian is showing a woman how to give eye drops to her cat. Ross yawns.
You wanna crash on the couch?
That's okay.
You sure? I'll make you peanut butter and bananas.
I gotta go home sometime.
Yeah, well, I gotta go to sleep sometime, so.
She gets up, kisses him on the head, and starts toward the bedroom.
Don't forget, tomorrow's Dad's birthday.
Oh, great. Wait till today to tell me. Like, I can really get a card to him by tomorrow. Jerk.
She goes into the bedroom, and Ross turns to Rachel.
In my heart, I'm an only child.
You want it?
Split it with you.
They do. After a beat,
So, you probably don't know this, but back in high school, yeah, I had a major crush on you.
I know.
You did? Really? I mean, I always figured you thought I was just Monica's geeky older brother.
I did.
she shrugs and gives him a smile. It was a long time ago.
Listen, you think, and try not to let my intense vulnerability become a factor here, but you think it would be okay if I, asked you out sometime, maybe?
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay, maybe I will. Night.
Night.
He gets up and starts for the door. Monica comes out of her bedroom. She sees his face, and he's clearly very pleased with himself.
What's with you?
I just grabbed a spoon.
And with that, dissolve to interior coffee house several days later. Monica, Phoebe, and the guys are hanging out.
Okay, fine. It's a great butt. It's a phenomenal butt. In a Ned Beatty sort of way.
Shut up. Just shut up.
Monica laughs. The waitress comes over to the table.
You guys want any coffee?
We pull back to reveal that the waitress is Rachel.
Did you make it, or are you just serving it?
Just serving it.
Go for it.
As she pours.
You know who had great legs? Mr. Green Jeans.
When did you see his legs?
And as they all chime in, laughing and talking at once, we fade out. Tag! Faden. Interior, Ross's apartment, evening. All of the furniture is finished, and all of it is a little askew. Ross goes to his kitchen table and sets a glass down on it. He sits. The chair is visibly uneven, rocking back and forth from leg to leg. As he tries to fix it, the glass begins to slowly slide down the slanted table. He catches it just in time. Ross gets up and answers the door. He's surprised to discover Carol, his soon-to-be ex-wife.
Carol.
Hi. Place looks good.
Especially if you go like this, which is because all the furniture's kind of... okay, never mind. So, what's up?
I'm pregnant.
The glass falls off the table. Ross glances at it, then back to Carol.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I'm pregnant, and I want to keep it.
Is it mine?
Well, we know it's not Susan's.
Ross takes this in, and on this little cliffhanger, fade out.
Yeah.
The Friends Like Us pilot.
Friends like us.
So, what do you guys think? Having seen the show, first of all, I'm interested to ask you guys this. First of all, this is the first time we've read a script that's been produced. What were some of the challenges, or what were some of the things that were tough, and some of the things you liked about reading a script that has already been made?
Well,
Not because these characters are so...
They're so known.
No,
Yeah.
like to see, because when you had said, Mike, you're gonna be Ross, I'm like, Ross, David Schwimmer, what? But now just reading the pilot, putting him out of the equation, it's like, oh, yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
You see it, you just see it. So, but they're so ingrained in these characters. It's so tough to distance themselves from it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's so much fun. Like, it makes me want to go back and watch the show again. I haven't watched it in years.
yeah, so good.
I watched the pilot last night. I know, Roxy, you've seen it 50 times.
Yeah.
How do you
I
guys...
also watched it last night.
Yeah, I watched it this morning.
To me, the pilot that was shot is much better than the pilot that was written.
A lot better.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it so long. I mean, what?
They cut out
Well,
a lot
that's
of
why-
unnecessary scenes.
Yeah, that's why I commented on it being 59 pages, because the pilot is, I think, 22 minutes. So
Right.
that's a few pages that you've got to cut off here, because
Right.
that's like a 30-page script that we've got going on. So honestly, the stuff they cut was really smart. They made really smart cuts and punched up a lot of lines. Yeah.
That whole Joey and Rachel and the Bloomingdales, that's not there.
The Chandler and Rachel stuff.
Job interview.
Yeah, that's not there. And then they merged
The Carol.
Yeah, that's not there.
But the tag is not there?
No, but it's introduced
pregnant.
in the second episode, I think.
In the second episode, he's working as a paleontologist, and she goes to his work, and she.
Okay.
You know,
Tells them.
that's the only thing I kind of liked about this script was the tag.
It sets up the show.
You're big
Yeah,
into
yeah.
cliffhangers.
I love a good
Yeah.
cliffhanger.
Yeah.
But to me, that's the only cut that was made that I would have kept, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe it didn't work on set, but... And part of this is just the life of multicam. Like, you know, I'm sure the writers had 5 alternate lines for each of the jokes. And, you know, you just do them on set.
Yeah.
You see how the audience reacts to certain lines, and you just...
Yeah.
I mean, we've all been to a live sitcom taping, but...
No.
It's fun.
I haven't either.
For anyone, you guys should go. It's
It's a fun.
It's fun.
It's fun. I guess as a writer, especially.
It's not as easy to find anymore, is
Yeah.
it? It's more only on
don't-
CBS now.
God, how
They're
many-
bringing it back, though, but...
Yeah.
How many do they do anymore? It's really kind of transitioned from that.
Freeform has a lot of multicams, and a lot of like kids networks, like Nickelodeon and
Yeah.
Disney have a lot of multicams. But it's not. I'd say in terms of network comedies, probably 80% of what's on TV right now is single cam, which is
Yeah.
just feels so different.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel like this pilot holds up in terms of just like comedy scripts that go across desks today?
It's still funny, but there's no way in 2017 you could sell a pilot about 6 close white friends.
Living in a sick ass place in New York City.
Heterosexual, and have Rachel be as like completely helpless as she is.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people just be like, no. I mean, even Girls, which kind of played on that as well, as like a woman who like she still was kind of like people had some issues with it, but I mean I don't know enough about Girls to really speak on it, but there's just something about like you have to kind of get to that beat a little bit faster, which they do efficiently, but
and I feel reading it like there are some funny like things that you take out of just reading it, but I feel like a lot of it is physical comedy and getting it on its feet and seeing the actors like facial expressions that make it even that take it over the top.
I'm just so impressed with them after reading this, like what they brought to their characters, because it's so much harder than you think.
Right.
And another thing that I noticed that they cut a lot out was Paul, and it's probably because he doesn't matter as a character, so they cut a lot of his stuff.
Because I haven't seen it in forever. Was it an actor that's now kind of out there working, or is he just?
I've seen him in a couple of things, but he's not one of their like Bruce Willis roles.
Well, no, not Bruce Willis, but like
Paul Rudd.
Yeah, Paul Rudd, or
no, he's not one of Paul
Rudd.
But he had a big role on the show.
CSI for a while.
Paul Rudd was already that was post Clueless. Paul Rudd, so he was kind of already on his way.
I've seen him in things. I'll look him up.
They changed that. They just changed the scene a little bit, so he still had a fair amount to do, not as much, but they changed it to like it being like their 5th date,
right?
And just kind of like he was more of and
John Allen Nelson is his name.
The Franny part was she told the same story, which I liked better. That she told the same story of like him being like, I was like I broke him out of his spell or whatever.
Do you guys feel that this type of show, because its Friends started the trend, and then we had so many copycats after that?
But Friends is a copycat
of
Living Single.
Oh,
So because the actual head of NBC, because Queen Latifah told the story. Yeah, Living Single is about 4 black women and their 2 male friends, and it's about just their life in New York in I think it was Brooklyn they lived in. But when he was asked like back during the season, like when they're doing their pre-pilot season, he's like, is there any show on TV right now that you would like that you don't have? And he's like, I would like a Living Single. And then the next year, Friends came out.
Interesting. What were you gonna ask, Mike?
I'm curious if like, because we won't see a show like this anymore. Like you'd say to what you'd said, because these characters, like, I mean, Big Bang kind of came up with the Friends and that environment. One, the central location that's always the apartment or something. It just seems like this is a type of show that, like, and we talk about its place in history. It's a time capsule that's of the 90s. It was so 90s.
It's such a 90s show. I mean, like, even like just the technology of the show. The show just does have, I think, like, you can look at shows that are defined by their decade, and I would say, like, Friends is just the 90th show of all time.
It never went political, and I think because we were in a pretty good time,
right,
Clinton and everything was just kind of smooth sailing. So they never had to deal with that. They never really went too high or too low with personal tragedies in people's lives or anything. So it was always kind of, not vanilla's a poor word to say.
Cruise control a little bit. Pleasant.
It was always, you tune in and there was your friends. You watch it and you just.
Well, I think that's what like makes the show so great. It's the same thing with Seinfeld. Is like it's about the characters and their relationships together. The episodes are all bullshit. I mean, that's what they say. Seinfeld's like it's a show that's been about nothing for a decade.
But think about, we were talking about that with Seinfeld, my friend. We were talking about like that show couldn't be produced either because it was nasty a lot of times with like weight comments and everything. Like just talk like, and we didn't think about it back then. But nowadays, I don't know if it's because we're so. Not we, but the country's so sensitive to any kind of.
Well, back in the 90s, like racism, weight comments, men hitting women in movies, these were things that happened all the time, and it was just like the norm. And
back
you go
in the good old days.
Yeah, right. And, like, I've covered so many movies on Action Movie Anatomy, and they're action movies from the 90s that like you go back and you watch things, and you're like, oh, holy shit! Like that is just hard to watch. And as much as I love Seinfeld, those moments happen.
Oh.
But like you go back and
like,
like, it's Seinfeld. But then you're like, if that came out now, if that was on Curb Your Enthusiasm, Curb would get cut. You know, like.
Yeah.
I mean,
To me, I think in a much gentler way than Seinfeld and all these other examples, like Friends is like a gentle, but it totally informed my idea of what a sitcom is. Obviously, because I was a kid when it was on. But like to me, a situation comedy is like
Full House.
But like the situations are like, you taped over my thing on the VCR, or like, I gotta stop that answering machine message from being heard, and all these situations that are like high stress but are all solved now.
Yeah.
But I think that's why I love this show, is because, and I think, Jeff, you had made a really good point about technology just being such an influence on the show. Like, if this show came out now, a lot of the situations that they were in when they were taping wouldn't be realistic, or believable nowadays. And I feel like the lack of technology back then made it so much easier and just more fun and believable.
Yeah.
Kind of to say off that though, but thinking about, let's say we took this script, modernized it, you diversified the cast. I think it still could play. Like we talk about Seinfeld, everything that happened in the 90s, but nowadays with like online dating, just the everyday little things, I think you just gotta update the cast.
We'll get a test of it because Will and Grace is coming back for a full season, or for 12 episodes. So that's a 90, but it's still based, it started in the 90s. So
but I'm saying age-wise because they're staying with them.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. So but we'll still get to kind of see
situationally,
like how they deal with stuff currently now, even though they're older.
Yeah, makes sense.
They're still the same characters, so we can kind of get to see like what's changed for them in their life and kind of reflect on, that has changed for society.
It'll be interesting to see how they touch on like gay humor now, because back in the 90s, gay humor was just like, I'm gay and that's funny, and like now it's like.
But that was that was kind of the great thing about Will and Grace is that Will was not. He didn't play into like the stereotype,
right.
and so that was kind of like at least at that time, like a relief for a lot of people, just to kind of be like, okay.
So how does Jack live in that world? Live in this world now, right?
Yeah.
That's the curious.
I mean, he's still
like a lot of the people
that
do,
Roxy, for you, especially out of everyone on this panel, because I know, wasn't it like 2-3 weeks ago they did that tease online?
I was so upset.
It was fake.
I tweeted out about it.
It was a Friends
devastating.
reunion.
Oh yeah, they do that every 5 years.
One?
Yeah, desperately.
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah, but I don't think it's ever going to happen.
Yeah.
No, they don't want to do it.
Do you think it would work?
That's what I'm saying. Do you
Definitely. Yeah.
like is a where are they now type?
I think that you could do this in so many different ways, but like, what are some of the best episodes of Friends? Fat Monica, like the flashbacks, ones that didn't.
Again, never be done today.
The one that
episode.
The one that
still do
the
that.
one that could have been where it was like talking about what Phoebe could have been if she was working in a business. I just think that they're so great at adapting to different times. That I think it would be awesome, and there's so many ways they could do it, but if they don't want to, then I don't want it to be done. You guys ready for a fun fact, though?
Yeah, please,
This is my favorite one. I pulled up the article, so I didn't just tell you. This is coming from Kaufman. He says, we originally offered Rachel to Courtney Cox, but she said she wanted to do Monica, not Rachel. When we originally wrote the role, we had Janine Garofalo's voice in our head. Interesting, right?
Janine Garofalo is Monica.
Yeah.
I see that.
Courtney Cox is Rachel.
They wanted Courtney Cox and Rachel.
And at the time, she was really pretty much the only somewhat established actress.
Courtney Cox?
Yeah.
I remember hearing that Jennifer Aniston was like had made a series of failed pilots that never got picked up right before Friends, and like was ready to sort of like throw in the towel maybe or something.
Well, she's also the daughter of a soap star.
Yeah, so she was probably gonna have a career.
She's gonna get Can't think of his name. But yeah, so
how different the show would be though, based on these like.
I don't think it would have lasted with Janine on there for.
I think that's an important thing though, is more than I would say any other show I've ever seen. The actors make the characters work. I think because I really think I don't want to. Marta Kaufman's an amazing show creator. So is David Crane. I love Grace and Frankie. I love Episodes. I don't know if you guys have watched that show. That's that was Matt LeBlanc. Really good. So these are amazing writers and amazing creators. But I'm not sure this is an amazing pilot.
Well, that's the thing. You said that reading the script, it's kind. And now that we see the characters, you could see when they always say casting's I just want an actor that's going to make a great choice.
Yeah.
You can see the person that took the Ross has so many kind of just bland lines.
Yeah.
But David Schwimmer probably did something.
Yeah.
He did that puppy dog where it's just that's Ross.
I just can't
and David Schwimmer's not like that in real life.
I know. It's
at all.
But I feel like it's such a lesson to actors to know yourself. Imagine being offered a huge role like this and being actually, I don't think that's what I'm best for.
Yeah.
What are the chances that you'll cast me as the other role? That's just such a ballsy move. But she knew herself, and and I think that's really cool.
But
Well, the other thing too with multicams is like you read a lot of multicam pilots or even just successful episodes. They're not that great on paper. Like
Yeah.
a lot of times multicams are like, oh, I could see how the joke would be there. There's the reversal. There's the 3. Like, you know, all these things. But in reality, multicams never look as good as they are on screen. On paper, and they never will.
They're either going to be better or worse.
They're either going to be
That's the
better or
thing.
worse. And
Yeah.
like with a show like Friends, it relies solely on how great all the actors are. It's never going to look as good as an episode on paper. You know, it's like you guys say the pilot's not that great. I think this is a fucking great, excuse my language, I think this is a great pilot because it's clean, it's tight, it's funny, and it focuses on the small nuances of being friends.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
know?
And that's what made the show so special.
Exactly.
I just don't know if I would have chosen this pilot to run on the show, to be totally honest. Like, and you know what? I haven't picked a multicam for the show yet. And like, that is true. Multicams are tougher. And comedy pilots in general are tough. I know Tina Fey hates the 30 Rock pilot. She says it's not very good. But I think there
You
must
have to
have...
explain, but you also have to be funny, and it's hard to do both in
It's
such
really
a short
hard to do
amount of
both.
time.
And make you care about all the people.
Yeah.
But I think like Phoebe, for example, not that your performance wasn't amazing, Haley, but
I was just thinking how hard Phoebe is because she's written as the comic. She's all her lines are like I'm weird or whatever, you know, and it's like hard to not.
But
it's
I think-
really hard, and I can only see Lisa Kudrow.
I know.
Anyway,
I think
so.
Lisa Kudrow did something so weird and specific.
Really strange, yeah.
Yeah.
But see, that's the weird thing about doing sitcoms, though. In 10 seasons, these actors, yes, are all very talented, but then you have to worry about being pigeonholed in that. Like, besides Jennifer Aniston and you know, Courtney Cox, I mean, the only people who have worked consistently, you know, David Schwimmer, Phoebe,
they've all worked
done,
consistently.
they have all worked, but they've all done the same kind of roles.
And
Do
they
you know
all
what I
stopped
mean?
working.
Like they like Lisa Kudrow still does that quirky thing on her HBO show. David Schwimmer was doing Madagascar. He's still like that weird, like
Matthew Perry
narcissistic
had a little
weird.
run at it.
Yeah, but he was like, I mean,
that's
like,
kind
you
of-
know, the whole 10 yards and the whole 9 yards was like the exact same
But that's
dude.
what I mean. Like
That's
they're
also
playing the exact same
who
characters.
they are. Like when you go back and you see Matthew Perry, he did some movie. God, he played like the douchebag boyfriend in some. Maybe She Drives Me Crazy or something. Like before.
Fools Fall in Love?
No, no. That
Fools Rush In.
that was during Friends. She Drives Me Crazy is with Tony Danza, and it's about his. I think he played like the douchebag boyfriend in that. But that was Chandler. Like you see, like okay, that's Chandler. When you see even Courtney Cox, I think she did Ace Ventura: Pet Detective before she did Friends. That is still Monica. So that's kind of like in the 90s. There are people who are like actors, and there are people who just become celebrities, but they're always the same person.
I
Like
think
Tom
that-
Cruise is always Tom
I think it's
Cruise.
unfair to
disagree
say
with
that
that.
on this because I think, like, especially with Lisa Kudrow, if you've seen what else she can do, I
That's
think
not to say she can't do drama, but it's still going to be like her way of delivering the lines.
But I don't think it's her. Like, if you watch her in interview, all of these people actually, I don't think it's fair because David Schwimmer is so much more of an asshole than this
Yeah, I know.
character is. And, like,
I know that too. Yeah.
And I think that Lisa Kudrow is like a lot less quirky, and I think that
That's not to
it's
say that-
easy to say that. I think it's easy for us to point and say that they're just being them.
No, I'm not saying that that's not they don't have variations because they're like humans and stuff, and we do have like you guys think I'm serious. And I was like, I'm actually a goofball in real life, but but that's something that what I'm saying is their acting styles. That's their acting style.
I think
so
what
that's
it
kind of what they
is-
do.
Don't you think part of it's that we've spent 300 hours with these people?
Sure.
So like Brad, like who's the biggest? Meryl Streep.
Mm-hmm.
If you combine all of her work, it's only 70 hours of screen time because she's a movie actor. As a TV actor,
Is that a number you
You
just
said
made
that,
up?
you said it like that was
Yeah.
a you knew that.
Fact.
Yeah. Is it 70
Say
hours?
yes. Say yes.
70 hours, 22 minutes, and 14 seconds with Meryl Streep. That's all.
As we all know.
Yeah. But I think
Jeff.
Oh, another second just got added somewhere.
But that's the thing with movie stars, which are becoming rarer and rarer, is they have less time on screen.
Good point.
So I think it's easier for them to slide into different roles. But if you're playing 10 seasons, it's what? That's 250 episodes? That's a lot of
I think
time.
it's 240 something. Yeah.
It's a lot of time for us to get to know them. And it's
Yeah.
probably harder to shake out of that persona. So to me, that's why TV actors can sometimes have a harder time transitioning into film, is because we spend so much time with them.
Yeah, it's not to say that they can't do other stuff, but if you're going to be playing the same character for 10 years, you're going to be putting more of yourself into that character.
Right,
So if
especially
I
on
see you when
sitcoms.
you're a younger actor, and I did see them when they were younger actors, and I go, oh, okay, I see why that person ended up becoming Monica. Because when you're a younger actor, you're not as refined. Early Meryl Streep is not the same as now Meryl Streep.
Yeah, it's shaping you.
But
Yeah.
the thing is that these characters, it's not like Rachel became, or Jennifer Aniston became Rachel. It's,
No.
Rachel became Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah.
It's what happens when something lives for 12 years and you're the only person playing it, and only the writers are writing for you to play that person.
Right.
They write you into that character. It's not like, oh, well, Rachel is still doing this in season 9. It's like, no. Jennifer Aniston as Rachel does this way.
And writers
They're
do talk
writing
about
for
that,
it.
how
Yeah,
they
yeah.
write. The more they learn about their actors, the more they start writing that into
Right.
the characters. Like
For
the
sure.
longer a show goes on.
Which, going back to the Rachel not being able to be today, I really feel like the character that wouldn't be able to live today is Joey.
Yeah. This version of Joey.
He's too one-dimensional.
Pilot Joey,
Well,
I think.
people would just slaughter him for his sexism.
be a
Like,
dick,
it just
yeah.
wouldn't be able to live on screen today, which I think is actually sad because I think that he's misunderstood as a character.
Totally, because like when
Yeah.
you say things of like when Monica has the line of like comparing all women to livestock, it's true. It's like you would say that, and then women around the world would be like, "Yeah, you dick."
Yeah.
Whereas back
Yeah,
then it was like, it's funny, a cow or a horse. You know,
Well,
and,
they
like,
did humanize Joey the longer the show went on.
For
Like we
sure.
talked about how he became nicer. He was still kind of like a sexist pig, but
Yeah. How
the
you
more you
doing?
got to understand, the more like it's just like when you talk to your parents and they say something that's crazy sexist or crazy racist, and you're like,
from a
where did
different
that come
time.
from?
Yeah. totally.
You're
Came
like,
from the
oh.
50s and 60s.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I disagree. I think. What about like Charlie Sheen in 2.5 Men? His character was pretty sexist, and that ran a little longer.
But on
That's
purpose.
True.
It's
On
true.
purpose, his character was like
Where
he
is
was
it?
a
Yeah, but
Because
it's
hateable
always on
character.
purpose.
Yeah,
It's
that's
like
no,
someone's writing it.
No.
Joey's
He was like a hateable character. People
Oh,
hated
I
that
see.
character
Yeah.
on purpose.
Oh.
Like he was known as a bad guy. Joey's supposed to be one of our.
Joey's like your stupid little
Friends.
brother.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that if he like a Janice character, an ancillary character, somebody who came in could be like that. But I don't think like one of the people we're supposed to follow and love and root for could
be like that.
That's
like
interesting.
that.
This was a thought I was having. Was like a lot of comedy likes to have terrible people now, and like
Like
these
It's
are
Always
meant to
Sunny.
be like good.
Yeah.
We love
Right.
you all.
Yeah.
We love everyone who's a main lead, and like now there's a lot of like you're the worst type of like how bad can we be to
it's
each
'cause,
other?
like, as
that's
society-
what comedy is.
I
As
call that
an
the-
audience, like we have to make it so bad that we can laugh at it. Whereas
Yeah.
back then it was like so in the middle that now when you watch it you're like, oh Jesus, did they
very
know?
earnest.
Whereas like
Yeah.
now it's like everything that comes out is so self-aware that
It
we're
was
like,
actually-
we know you're an
Yeah.
asshole, and
It was
you
a
know
lot
you're an
more
asshole.
human in the 90s because I was talking about a friend. She's telling me a story about her roommate who's probably racist, and everything she tells me about her roommate, I'm like, yeah, she's a racist. She doesn't realize that she's racist because that's a common human thing. Like people say stuff, and then we go. We in 2017 will go. Some of us, not all of us, will go. Oh, is that sexist? Like, or oh, is that racist? Like, and question ourselves in the moment. Whereas now we kind of, when we watch TV, we want someone to like live in that and be aware of it and be unapologetic about it. And I call it like the Judd Apatow problem, which I don't really like. I don't really like that mean people are allowed to just be mean and no one really
Punishes them.
punishes them. Like we as an audience know they're mean, but it's like, well, maybe you should have a commentary about like what is it to be that type of person, or because it was a lot more complicated in the 90s where people would say crazy stuff
Yeah.
and you would have very special episodes and like what is all like what you learned from that kind of stuff.
I really think it's the chemistry of this cast. Like, I think we're kind of dancing around the fact that like, I think this pilot's fine. But I really think those 6 actors did something really magic.
Yeah.
And to the point of like, are we sure that we're supposed to love Joey in the pilot? Like, I'm not sure Joey's supposed to be one of our ends. Like,
No.
I was reading somewhere, and you can feel it when we read it, this version, that Phoebe and Joey were more ancillary characters. Like, and they're probably only 20% of the pilot, whereas everyone else has those percentages aren't right.
I
but
think he's still a likable. Like everyone makes fun of his like theater in the park or whatever,
sure,
and then
yeah.
once he leaves, they're like, actually, he was good. Like so
But-
they set him up as like we just rib our actor friend and like we love him.
Well, I
I
think
think
that
everybody had one. Like Monica is cynical, Rachel is spoiled, Phoebe is flaky, Ross is emotional, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing, but I know that men might.
Yeah.
Joey smug, and Chandler's all of them are kind of like
This whole
Okay, so
thing.
you said Janine Garofalo was written. They're written for
that's
Monica.
whose voice they had in their head
for
is what
Rachel.
she said is what
No,
for
for
Monica.
Monica.
For Monica.
Janine Garofalo.
And
'cause she's so
Courtney
dry.
Cox was cast as Rachel.
Yeah, when
Okay,
you think
so-
about The Truth Between Cats and Dogs,
Right.
I can hear that voice for Monica.
Okay, so so knowing that, because
About Cats and
even though it's a ensemble piece, the show was written probably they wanted to get a name attached to it. And Janine Garofalo at the time, Reality Bites was
She was a
right at the
name
time,
for
she was
sure
a
in the
name.
90s,
So
yeah.
that was the one that they went for. Like, hey, we can and because Monica is kind of like if there's a lead in this script right here, she's the focal point.
For
The
sure.
story moves
First
with her.
line and
she's
yeah.
the
It
inciting
doesn't say that they
incident.
offered it to her, though. It
Right,
just
but
says that her
if that's
voice
the
was
thing that they
bad.
think in their voice, so maybe they were like, let's get her. That's a name we can attach because she was in movies at the time. So it makes sense that that's who they went for.
Well, I think we think of Friends as like a very positive show now, just because I think we have kind of put on rose-colored glasses when it comes to the 90s, and we think like, oh, positivity. But a lot of the bigger stars were kind of like Ethan Hawke, Janine Garofalo. So you had like the beginning, the pre-Mumblecore group, and then you had like the big action stars and Demi Moore's and all that kind of stuff. So that makes sense that Friends, like even this pilot, is a much more cynical thing than what we actually saw on TV. Like the way that Rachel
definitely.
and Monica talk to each other at the beginning. That's
Monica's really rude to Rachel in this.
Right.
Like, not supportive. And
This was
like,
directed way more earnestly than the version that we get on paper. And
Yeah.
I think that's the cynical 90s sitcom was Seinfeld. So I'm sure that they wanted to push back against that a little bit. Because even Frasier is kind of that like dry 90s witty.
Yeah, because it's a rollover from Cheers.
And
which
I
is
think
the
that's,
same.
but Cheers was very earnest, which is interesting. To me, Friends is very clearly the evolution of Cheers. I don't know if you guys watch.
Cheers
Of course
had
it
its
is.
Love it.
moments.
Cheers.
I
Cheers
love
had
Cheers.
some very serious moments. Like when
But
you go
so
back
does
and watch
Friends.
it now.
I mean, like they,
Friends?
like Monica and Chandler,
Oh,
lose
the
their baby. Like I
Yeah,
think there's
the
a
baby was
lot
the
of
most-
serious. Even in
Phoebe
this,
carries triplets for her brother. It's very serious.
they can
They
get
don't take
serious.
it seriously though. It's like
Giovanni
Very big
Ribisi.
deal.
But there are moments of like intensity in Friends. I just think like I think story and likability and earnestness, even more than this version of the pilot, were what made the show special.
yeah.
Because did you guys watch Happy Endings at all?
Yeah.
To me, that's the next evolution of Friends.
It was more bizarro.
It was, but you have to do that.
I still liked it, but yeah, it was more
I
it
don't
was
think
more
you could
bizarro.
do something this run of the mill and have it work.
It was kind of New Girl, I feel like.
Yeah, New Girl.
Yeah, New Girl.
Same sweetness for sure.
And like same
Apartment
sick apartment that
setting,
I don't know how they paid
Yeah.
for.
But to me, like this
How I Met Your
show,
Mother was like that, too.
How I Met Your Mother, you're right.
Yeah.
I just
Exactly.
feel like this
that
show
show.
only
too.
could live and work in the time that it did.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's like it's a time capsule.
It's a time
show.
capsule.
Yeah.
Which I think is a little sad because I mean, if you look at Friends, there was 3 male actors, 3 female actors who were all paid equally toward the end, and they were all pretty much given the same amount of dialogue. Whereas now it's like with New Girl, it's one one female lead and 3 other guys. It's like you can still see that.
Two female leads. Her,
Yeah,
her,
Cece's
well,
the lead.
yeah,
her best
but
friend
at the
kinda gets
beginning,
bumped
not
up.
Not in the
really.
beginning,
Yeah.
right?
Just the
Not in
3 of
The
them, right?
script was not
Yeah.
written.
Yeah.
The script was a star vehicle.
So I'm like, for Friends, I mean, Friends being in the 90s, it was
Well, and
balanced.
interestingly,
Balanced,
they would
yeah.
only ever enter the Emmys as all supporting actors. And I don't think there's been a show. Can we think of
they're
another?
friends.
Because they're friends. Is there another ensemble show though?
That
It's
does
that
it's
on
not how
How
this
I Met
was-
Your Mother.
It's not
Yeah,
how it
that's
was
the
written
only
though.
one,
This
yeah.
was written for
Monica?
Yeah.
Oh, you can tell.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, like, look at
Yeah,
even the
this.
character description.
Yeah.
Monica's brother, Monica's friend.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
And
She's our point of view.
yeah, so
I wonder if on set they just saw
That
the
was
magic of
no
all
that
the actors.
Yeah.
no. That was actually the actors that did that. The
Right.
actors were the one who said, "Okay, we do everything this way." When they sat down early on in the beginning of the show and said, "If one person asks for a raise, we all ask for raises." So
But
that's like that. Why they
That's awesome. That's so
But
sad.
I have to imagine that came later. I mean, like, it took a minute for this show to be a hit. I can't imagine that 6 strangers on a pilot set would be like, we have to.
You gotta
Well,
make
no.
a scene
Look,
right, right?
when it did start to get to that point
Right.
where it did become like this big thing, because when you do a pilot, you shoot this thing and then you don't see these people for
Right.
6 months. But no, it became something that they did. And even when you submit yourself for like an Emmy, that's an actor submitting themselves for an Emmy. Like that's your team doing it. So that's a conversation
For
they
sure.
can have.
But I'd have to imagine it was the producers on set who saw these actors and thought, this isn't Monica's show, this is all of their show.
Yeah.
To me. I mean, because I'm trying to remember, was episode 2 a Monica-centric episode, or did it pretty quickly fall into the rhythm of an ensemble show?
well, it's a lot about what's going on with Ross and the baby.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you know, Rox, was this cast, were they the original cast, or was there they shot the pilot, screened it, and like, oh, we gotta swap someone out?
No, this was the original cast, but only 4 of them were supposed to be like on the show.
Oh, series regulars.
Yeah, series regulars.
Wow.
Am I right in saying that Joey and Phoebe?
And Phoebe
Yeah.
were the 2 that
Or, like,
were
guest
additional,
supporting.
Yeah.
You can feel
The
that.
dumb weirdos
Yeah,
or
right.
whatever.
Interesting.
yeah.
You can feel that in the
So-
pilot.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
And,
so it's
and
before.
remember that Carol was recast after an episode.
Which is crazy.
Oh yeah.
So it's a different actress, but because she wanted to be, now that 2 were added, she was like, I should be a regular, and they were like, no. And she was like, then I'm out. And
They're
then
like,
she was
later.
out.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's kind of like
smart.
know when
That
to
life.
fight and know when
Yeah.
not.
Just
to.
like-
Who are you again?
Yeah.
What's your name?
When
Yeah.
you see her, I literally don't. I feel so bad for her because she does a fine job in the episode, but I don't recognize her for anything else.
else. Of course not.
Ever. I didn't see
I
her
do
ever
recognize the other Carol from
I gotta look that up
It
now.
Takes Two.
Again. Yeah.
Did you demand it being more
They changed-
prevalent in the most successful sitcom ever?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Later.
They changed Rachel's character's last name.
Yeah,
Before they
I've
shot
noticed.
it. I wondered about that.
It was Robbins in this, right?
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah,
what the
instead
hell?
of Green. I
Right.
saw that too, and I was like, did I miss something?
It's a
Rachel
funny
think it
Green
was
is a
because
hot
of
girl name.
Yeah, Rachel
That's
Green
so
is.
hot.
Yeah.
That's a
I
good
think it
point.
was a. I think
an
it
E
was
on
a,
the
Robbins.
a Jew thing.
Yeah, maybe.
Is Robbins a Jewish last name? More so than Green.
No, I would say that both of them. I would say that Green actually. I would.
Is more Jewish?
Yeah, because usually you hear like Greenstein, Green
Greenberg.
Black, Green. Like I
Berg.
actually don't know any just Greens, but Greens in a lot of Jewish last names, and I do have a couple of Jew Robins, but I don't.
Jew
I don't think that Robbins like resonates with the rest of the country as Jewish particularly.
Because
Carol, right? Was the got cast? Carol.
yeah, because the Jewish identity of the show is so much the Gellers.
Yeah.
That's an interesting thing. Did you guys notice that like Ross and Monica being siblings was way more featured on paper than it was in what was shot? Like I feel like I rewatched the pilot last night and didn't come away with a very tangible sense that Ross and Monica were siblings. Like it's like referenced once, whereas there are 4 moments in the written pilot where their siblingness is
Right.
like addressed.
Peanut butter and bananas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's an interesting change.
Their relationship is always so freaking bizarre.
Yeah, it's my favorite thing about the show though is Ross and Monica as siblings.
Yeah.
Because I'm close to my sisters and I think I'm like kind of Rossy. But
Funny.
anything else about specifically like this pilot that we were surprised by, or it's an interesting conversation to have reading a 27-year-old script.
23.
23. I'm a writer. I'm not a mathematician.
I thought it was interesting in the actual pilot, like the first few cuts where it was like
Yes.
all different.
I want to talk about this. This is
Takes.
very weird and never happens.
How
It
you
didn't even
introduce
really
characters.
It's kind of. I think it's kind of lazy to be like they're all sitting around the coffee shop and a joke happens. Then we fade in and we fade out, and they're still all sitting around the coffee shop and another joke. There's all these
And then
dissolves.
we get a new character and we fade out, and a new character and we fade out.
Which
It was
is-
just interesting.
Like as a writer, you're really advised against that of
Yeah.
like dissolving in the same set and
Yeah.
like 2 hours later. Like that's. I would say that's kind of lazy.
How would you have done? Like, what would you?
New location.
Okay.
There should be a reason for a cut every time you're
Instead of
writing.
just keeping it right there.
Yeah, they're like, oh, but look, like they had more of their coffee.
Well, it's like with How I Met Your Mother. That's why they lived above the bar.
Right.
Is they could do the bar, apartment, bar,
But
apartment, bar,
they live
apartment.
above Central Perk.
That's
So
true.
It's
Yeah, they
weird.
could. But it was like in the '90s and '94, we didn't care yet.
For sure.
Again, like
Well,
as
we
audiences,
didn't
we
care.
always
Was-
evolve. We
I-
always want more.
I'm not a coffee drinker per se, but so Starbucks. When did that really kind of come into prominence?
90. Well, I used to work at Starbucks. So Starbucks has been around since 1978, but it
Oh.
didn't become popular as a branding until like the mid 90s, so like 92, 93. Is when
So
it started
right
to,
around
like,
this.
Right
so
around
then that's
this.
why
Mhm.
they had the idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just think it's a funny choice. Like, the first 3 scenes of this pilot are just jokes.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't really give us that much. We just kind of like fade
Yeah,
in.
it's
and, like,
bizarre.
They're still hanging out. Like, and I guess that was the point. Like, this was the first hanging out sitcom.
Do you guys know what Central Perk was before it was Central Perk?
No.
Just so we remember that
In the
episode.
script?
Yeah.
No.
It was like a crazy bar with that pool table. That
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
when Ross and
was funny
Phoebe
because-
like try and hook up.
So clearly, right before this show starts, they're saying that it wasn't a coffee shop. So it's like right with the boom of coffee shops, this switched from being a bar to a coffee shop. It's interesting.
And then
Interesting.
it went back to a bar 10 years or 12 years later on How I Met Your Mother.
Well, no, I think when you're talking about the crossfading and that kind of stuff, I think that's more of a budgetary reason, and also
Probably.
it doesn't make sense for Rachel to be introduced in the apartment.
Right.
And they also was like, well, it doesn't make sense for them to be like hanging out in the apartment, then go down to get coffee, and then so I think I can see like why they were doing that. And then you have shows like Cheers, where can you remember any other set on Cheers?
No.
But why did Ross
The
need an
back
entrance?
office.
Yeah, it's like, and I think in a
I don't
tightly
know.
written script, all of that action could have happened seamlessly.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah, and I love this show, but the first 5 minutes of the pilot, when you look back at it and you're like, huh, that's how you did that.
Right.
Yeah.
I so agree.
I don't know, but then at the end of it, I look at it and I go that they really well rounded it out pretty well, because after 10 seasons, that's exactly how they ended it.
Totally.
So it's like they
I
used
love
it to
it,
their
but-
advantage because it's nostalgic.
It's
but
more
at the
just
same
like the
time,
editing.
I see what you're saying.
The editing
Yeah.
is kind of weird to me in the pilot, and like maybe that was the time, but Seinfeld was tighter. Like there's something I'm
With
being
just like the
critic.
weird musical transit.
Yeah. Of course, this is one of my favorite shows, but I really feel strongly that, and I don't say this often, especially because I'm a writer, but I really think the actors made this show.
Yeah.
More than maybe any other show I've seen.
The jokes are incredible on screen too, though.
Yeah.
So, like, so much credit to the writers for being able to adapt and change
For sure.
what's written to like live.
It's a very well-written show, but I'm not sure this is an amazing pilot. It's like my takeaway after
So
reading it.
how do you think it was made? Like, what did Crane and Kaufman do?
In terms of to make it better?
Well, because you're saying you wouldn't have even picked it for the show. So if you were a network exec, like, what do you think they saw in this?
Well, these guys worked on Mad About You,
Yeah.
which had Ursula Buffet. And that's the weird thing, too, is like Ursula existed in another universe before she was pulled into Friends. I think it was
awesome.
edgy. I think even though this pilot feels so tame now, jokes like, oh, it's not a date, it's just a night where we hang out and don't have sex, acknowledging that people that age were having way more sex wasn't really a thing on TV
Yeah.
yet. So
A
I
woman
think
talking to another woman about having sex the night before?
Exactly.
It's a big deal.
So I think-
like in '94.
I think the reason this pilot is a sell, and none of this ages well, but it was actually the edginess
Yeah,
and the
for sure.
timeliness and the freshness in terms of like a joke-telling pilot.
Because I grew up in a
know.
very, very conservative household,
You know-
and like my sisters, specifically one of them, she like watched all of Friends, but then at like, I guess maybe like season 7 or 8 around there, she's like, the jokes are getting a little raunchier for me, and like
Yeah.
it doesn't feel because it was like they were still being edgy, but again,
In a
as
way
an
that was
audience, we were
so-
progressing, and the world was getting crazy.
You guys gotta watch Living Single.
I
okay?
remember my mom at some point, and it might have been around the same season, because like Friends was always on, kind of like peripherally.
Always.
It was there.
Yeah.
There hasn't been a
But
time.
then I
yeah.
remember at some point after a couple years, my mom like sat me down and was like,
It's changed.
she was just like, adults aren't this casual about having
Yeah.
sex.
Yeah.
Like, it's not real life. Like,
I
thanks,
know.
Mom.
They have so much
You
sex
can
on that
see
show.
where, like,
She just straight up lied to you.
I know.
seeing sitcoms in the 80s going into this next decade, it was edgy. Like
Yeah.
Cosby
Yeah.
Show and and all that stuff was.
Yeah, feel good families.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was even
Yep.
more vanilla than this. And this was kind of like, oh, it's 90s and a younger. They were all younger, so it wasn't the family dynamic
Right.
anymore.
Yeah, and the fact that we don't see Joey on a sexcapade in the first episode, but we see Monica, but it easily could have been
Yeah.
Joey.
True.
That's a big deal.
It's a really good point, Roxy. To me, that's why the show hit. I think is because it told the truth about people in their 20s.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious if, like you said, like what took it to get it picked up to greenlight the pilot. But then I think once they had the pilot and they had the cast, then like, oh, we made the right choice. Like maybe they were on the fence about it. Like, all right, let's put the
Definitely.
pilot.
I'm sure.
We'll pay it, do it, but we're not going to pick it up. We're just telling you right now, we don't like this, but maybe if
Let's
that's a
shoot
pull
it.
in the network, let's shoot it.
Well-
But then you got the cast and they're like,
This is magic.
We
But
got
they
it.
were,
That's it.
but I mean, David Crane and Marta Kaufman were also like
Working.
well-established NBC people. So
That
I
probably got them
think
the leeway, though.
it would have gotten them.
It was a
got
put
them,
pilot.
It
I
got
know
them
that.
the pilot, and then it was a what?
It
Pilot?
was a put pilot. So like I think they were ordered before they shot the
Yeah,
pilot.
that's what I was saying.
wow.
Like it's
Yeah.
something where they're going to give them a season at least because they are established NBC people.
So
You know what I
they're
mean?
I
like,
don't
they're like
know.
Berlanti.
Because Mad About You have been around for
About a season, though, maybe
a few years
Two
at that
seasons.
point.
No. I'm saying I don't know if they give you a season. Like,
I think it was
they,
6
They gave
episodes.
them. What I'm saying is that
Yeah.
they gave them the ability to
Yeah,
actually
they-
air on television.
Yeah.
You know. So and even then, back in the '90s, a lot of shows were able to last longer. Like
Oh,
Cheers.
sure.
First season of Cheers is horrible, but they let it
Yes.
grow. It was horrible. And they even talk about how horrible it was. And they kept it going because
Right.
they wanted it to.
Sam and Diane.
Your network, you had your audiences, you had more loyalship.
Yeah.
You didn't have 500 channels to switch
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
You got it to.
So they gave Steph more time.
Do you guys think we'll get another amazing multicam hit ever again?
Yeah, for sure.
I don't like multicams now.
I don't either.
I think there's the laugh track kills me.
I don't
The laugh
either, but
track
How
kills
I
me.
Met Your Mother is
Yeah.
pretty recent
Yeah.
and was impressive.
For
Like,
sure.
Good, yeah.
It's definitely the spiritual successor to Friends.
Yeah.
But I wonder if there's another one.
I mean, Andrew brought up Big Bang Theory, and is that multicam?
And
or
I
is that
hate
all-
that show.
It's
No.
so
It's
bad,
so bad.
unfunny
I
garbage.
Here's the
love
thing.
that show.
Oh my god.
I've watched one episode
think
of that
it's
show.
not watchable.
I think
I
it's
wanna die,
absolutely
yeah.
god awful, but you got to remember there's a lot of people that don't live on the outside of the United
I
States.
know.
There's
And that
a
show
middle?
is still the most successful network show.
That you say that.
And it's
I know.
mind-boggling.
I
It
disagree.
is
I'm from New York,
unwatchable.
and I didn't get into that show at first. And then one of my friends was like, "Sit down and watch
Big
it." And I
Bang?
started watching it, and and I was like, "Oh, this is actually
So
really
you like
funny," and
Big
I really
Bang?
liked it.
I like
yeah.
So that's my
I
point.
don't-
Is that like in
I
a
don't
room
get it.
wherever you go, there will always be people that love that
Right.
show,
They
which
do.
means there
Because
will
it all started
always,
with the Big Bang.
right. That's the only reason why. Which
I
shows
just-
that there will always be multicams made, no matter what.
I mean, Kevin,
Can
blah,
wait.
blah, blah. Yeah, that.
Kevin
I mean,
Smith
there are
will always
multicams
be
on
in-
TV. Like Last Man Standing just got canceled. I just wonder if we'll see
I
a
don't
show.
know.
I don't know either. I
Will
don't
it be
know.
as
if
successful as
It's
Friends?
never gonna
Nothing
fully go
probably
a
away.
will.
show will never be as successful. as
I think it has
Friends
nothing
ever
to do with
again.
multicam. I don't think there will ever be a show as big as Friends.
I agree.
Yeah, no, I don't. I mean,
I
like,
think people said that kind of like about I Love Lucy at the time when I Love Lucy
I agree,
was,
but that,
yeah.
but
There's
then
more on TV now.
Yeah,
and we're also talking about, we've talked about this a lot, is that in the modern day there aren't movie stars anymore. There's like 5 of them.
Yep.
You know, like actual movie stars to where you put their name on a board and it's only their name. Everyone goes to see
Who?
it.
I don't know if there's anyone.
Tom Cruise.
Cruise.
Tom Cruise is the only living movie star.
and The Rock.
The Rock.
This is a whole
yeah.
other show.
The Rock
You
still
don't
has.
know what you just walked into.
I mean, we could go all day on that.
We really
but
We could. We
could talk about
we could
how-
duke this out all day.
celebrity and the idea of a movie star is changing and morphing into something else, and that's a beautiful thing. And but they're still there. But
Rock.
we only think of Tom Cruise as that way
Rock's
because he's been
a
around for
decade. Tom
forever.
Cruise has been around
Yeah.
for 40 years.
The Rock is a movie
should-
star.
But Rock is also at the beginning of his.
He is
of his
currently
time.
We should have
biggest
this
movie
discussion.
If he
Sorry, I
was a
think.
movie star, then
Future
Hercules
president.
would have been successful.
Hercules came up. Okay,
This is
what?
maddening.
And
Oh my
Baywatch would have
God.
You have
opened
no
big.
idea what
What?
I'm dealing
Baywatch
with.
would have
Oh
been
my God.
successful.
What?
Tom Cruise.
Check the Twitter. Check the Twitter poll. I put it out, and
Fast
2,000 fucking
and
people
Furious.
responded. Sorry.
The Rock is an
I forgot we're
icon.
on
He's not a
NBC.
movie star.
We can have this discussion after it. Anything else about Friends before we wrap?
If Tom Cruise is on Friends, it'd still be on the air.
Guys, thank you for
Tom
reading
Cruise
this
has some
pile. I
balls.
thought this was
Thanks
really
for letting
fun.
us read it.
Of
I thought
course.
this was wonderful. This is a lot of fun.
Just so y'all know, we're actually dark next week, but we're coming back. You know what? We're reading, I think, a modernized version of Friends. We're reading a show called The Crew about a bunch of millennials who decide that we want to become homeless and to see what happens.
Oh
Yes.
no!
That sounds
Yeah,
like
I'm
fun.
excited.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, it's really fun. It's much darker than this. It's a dark comedy.
It's
but
so hard to tell now whether people are trendy or homeless. I just don't know the difference.
that's
All
kind
the
of
time.
what the pilot is. So I'm
Really?
excited to bring it on. Anything else about this pilot before we go? I don't want to cut you guys off. I think this was a great discussion. It
Yeah.
was fun to talk about.
We probably could talk another hour.
Yeah,
Um,
probably.
in the meantime, guys, of course, we want to thank our partners, ARA Printing. They give us these
Thank you.
scripts heavily discounted. They're on Magnolia Boulevard in Burbank, and they're the best.
We love you guys.
We love you guys. We're dark next week. Then we're back with the script called The Crew, and then we're back with another comedy after called Hot Geek. That's
just
kind
funny.
of like
We're so funny.
I've kind of been on a comedy
so
kick lately because we read a lot of serious
Yeah.
pilots
We did.
before we started this
did.
comedy kick. So. Guys, thanks as always for tuning in. It's such an honor for me to be working with this amazing actors and have you guys engaging with us. So I really appreciate it. If you guys want to find me online, you can do so at Jeffrey C. Graham, and enjoy the week off.
I'm Roxy Strider. You can find me everywhere at Roxy Strider.
I'm Andrew Guy. You can find me online at Andrew Guy.
Hi, I'm Adrian Snow. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Miss Adrian Snow.
Mike Kalinowski at Mike Kalinowski.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. Timothy Michael at I am Timothy Mike.
Hey, and Haley O'Connor on Twitter at Haley O'Connor.
We'll be there for you. See you next week.
Bye.
Hey, guys.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network. The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals. From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.